medical breakthrough. Doctors discover a miracle cure for sadness, saving Padme's life. Alive, she is able to bring Anakin back to the light side. He must do everything he can to make amends and extinguish evil from the world, starting with Maul and Mother Talzin. He finds them hiding in an abandoned shipping port on Bombardia. Alright, we are back. It's time for Battle Report 2, and I'm going to hope that, unlike Hollywood, the sequel is better this time. We've got a good game lined up, I think, and completely new terrain, completely new teams. Almost. We have one unit out of the 12 that is a repeat from last time. So with that, let's just jump into it and look at our team breakdowns. On Team Naboo, we've got Vader Padme, bringing a lot of different tricks, a lot of killing power from Vader, a lot of utility from Padme. But really the choices to be made in this squad, I think, came in the secondary slots. I really like Ahsoka in this group because her reactive move attack works with both clones and handmaidens, and she has a tactical ability to move a primary. Usually, Padme is the great choice for that because she can be a bit slower on her turn, and you want to be moving her back into position to contest points and turn on wounded supports. So that's why I like Ahsoka there. In the other spot, there's a lot of different opportunities. Obviously, Rex is very good. Sabi's also a consideration, but I think a lot of the things she does, other people can do better in more of a specialized role, or I just kind of like everyone else's kit a bit more. So I ended up going with Barriss for that force push because she can get the expose from the ARF plus some extra dice from Vader, and that is a good shot at potentially getting free force push, or if need be, there should be some force available at points to just straight up pay for it. At first I was like, ooh, 2 melee only secondaries, is that good? But with Padme and the supports, we've still got about 3 melee, 3 ranged units, which is a good balance, I think. I'm not too melee skewed despite the secondary choices. I feel like it might be a little squishy because this is Republic with no extra defensive tech, but Padme does help make up for that. And out of activation mobility will be a little bit hit and miss potentially without Rex. So that's the trade-off you make for getting a diceless displacement in Barriss. Now, if we move over to Team Dathomir, they are very solid across the board. Maul, Mother Talzin, both bringing some good displacement effects. Both can be really dynamic playmakers. We've got some good durability with Mandalorians and with Savage. Usually, when I would run this concept, I would have the secondary under Maul being Bo for some extra heals and some extra durability. But I want to switch things up, try out Gar Saxon in this. See how it goes. Hopefully I don't regret that too much, but very solid across the board, can do a lot of things, very mobile with those supports. A potential downside would be the mobility of Mother and Savage. That can be a bit of a liability at some points, but we'll try to mitigate that through ingress and such. Speaking of, if we're taking a look at the board, there are a number of central ingress points, but they do not lead directly to the objective. So what I mean by that is if you go up those ingress points, you're not going to actually be within 2 of those objectives. Team Naboo is the first player here, so they deployed first. The main consideration, they have Barriss and Vader on the left side, so they can hit that ladder and kind of go center or go left. And that leaves the Padme Handmaiden squad on the right side as well, which is good because they've got a bit more verticality when there's no ingress points, because the Handmaidens can climb and Ahsoka can jump. So they should be able to take that right point or center point fairly easily. Padme might be a bit of a straggler So that's the downside there. For Team Dathomir, they got to counter deploy, so they put Savage on the left side to have a bit more ingress for him and Mother, and to deploy opposite of Padme to maybe make her think twice about coming too far up the battlefield, because Savage does like chopping up primaries. That leaves Maul and Gar on the right side. They're fast. They can hit those ingress points or move and jump up, so they should be okay. Recon enemy positions is the objective, so that shouldn't affect things too much. And so we'll get things in the bottom right corner. They should be fairly secure. I don't see anyone really wanting to attack. Maybe if Savage gets moved up quickly up the battlefield, he could threaten that back objective. And it doesn't hurt either if the teams want to leave someone there, because it will almost certainly come up in the next objective. Now, for the first activation of the game, Team Naboo does get Ahsoka. And in my excitement to go with Ahsoka, I missed her tactical ability to move up a primary, unfortunately, but that's all good. She could kind of get anywhere with her mobility, but it'll cost a lot of force to try to go to the left, and better to take a side objective than the middle. So she'll go out to the right here, taking an advance, then a take cover for a hunker, and then finally she'll spend one force to jump up top, securing that right side objective. She should have good range on the center as well, if she wants to use her reactive or her defensive expertise jump to try and get close. Could be a little tough being on the right level, but the ingress point will help there. So the Naboo team takes control of 2 points, and Dathomirian team takes control of 1, but no scoring on round 1. A fine start. Having Ahsoka in the middle of the table early is never a bad thing, in my opinion. And on the other side, we get the Super Commandos. Not bad. They are on that right side, so it'll be a little tough if they want to go after Ahsoka and try to take back that point, because that ingress is not going to help them out a lot, so they're really going to rely on, trying to get a lot of dice through to maybe get a jump, and a shove is probably possible, but going to be a little tricky. And the chances that Ahsoka can also just do her own reactive jump are a little too high for my liking. So as much as it's good to take a point, it's still better to take an unclaimed point successfully rather than fail to flip a point. So the Super Commandos will just start with a good old-fashioned advance and then a take cover. This way they don't spend on the jump, and we get to save that force for later, because stuff like manipulating hand is fairly expensive, and maybe we'll want to use Savage's 2 force ability as well to do some damage to the force users on the other side. So yeah, sizing up the jump could make that objective a bit more secure, but I don't think it's worth it. So Dathomir will take 3 and kick off the scoring with a solid round. As we go back to the Republic, they get the Shatterpoint, which in some circumstances I might think of as a little too early, but I think with the Handmaidens here, we have an opportunity to potentially flip 2 objectives and have that middle row lockout scoring 4, which if you have a chance like that, I think you always want to take it if it's a good chance, because they've got support from Ahsoka for some extra dice and some extra movement if they really need it. And the Handmaidens have that mobility between, the move, the climb, and a jump on the first spot on their tree to really fly up the battlefield. So we'll go for it. Shatterpointing support's always a good time. I think something people don't necessarily do enough, at least starting out. So 1 will move up the ingress, and then they will spend a force to climb, 1 just going across on level ground, but then the other will move up. So that one there we're looking at Does not quite have range to the objective yet, but shouldn't be a problem. As long as they get one down their tree, they're going to get a jump. So this other one going to climb and be right next to Ahsoka, well within range 4 of the Super Commando. We'll start with this one attacking. The defender is not at range 1 of the taller blue crate, so just 5 defense dice due to the hunker. Getting 5 attacks through with 4 blocks. That's just going to be 1 down the tree for damage and a jump, which is enough to allow the handmaiden to get to the ingress, get down, and get within 2 of the objective. She also removes the hunker from the Super Commando, so the next shot is going to be 7 into 4. Getting through 3, so that's not bad, which will allow for some good damage, a jump onto the objective, and a disarm into the Super Commandos, which should mess up their next turn. Not bad at all, so we definitely have that one objective secure. Ahsoka is easily within 3 of that handmaiden after their combat action, so she will use her reactive to jump, take the ingress point down, and attack the Super Commando next to her with 5 dice. And she has an insanely good roll, getting 6 results on 5 dice. 3 are going to go through. We could do the top or bottom of her tree, but we'll do the bottom to get a reposition for a little bit of extra movement and put a strain on those Super Commandos. So she's going to go over to that left side for a bit of reinforcement. She does leave melee with the Super Commandos, though, so she will take 2 damage. I think that's worth it, though, because it will put her out of range of this follow-up Mother attack. So she probably would have gotten 2 damage anyways, and this way she's not going to get shoved off. So Mother uses her identity, gets a dash, move up the battlefield, but that's it. And Republic will flip all the objectives, score 4 big points. Very good turn for them. It will take some effort for the Dathomirians to claw this one back, but the far objective is unguarded. Now they draw Gar Saxon. He does get to move a friendly Mandalorian, but I don't think he's going to move them anywhere especially useful, especially with the Super Commandos being wounded. So doesn't seem like he's a great option to go now. Could be awesome later in the round when the Clan Kryze has moved up a bit more. So for now, they'll spend 1 and put him in reserve. Drawing instead Maul, who is a great piece. Not great right now, though, because he does kind of want friendly bodies around to do his thing most effectively. He can only flip 1 objective on his own, but so be it. He'll take a damage to move up with an advance and then use a move action to take a second advance, which puts him well within contesting range. Then he can take 2 more damage and do a force pull of this handmaiden down the level towards him. That puts her out of range of the objective, so he can just go for the kill. And he is going to get 5 results with 1 blocked after the expose, getting him 4 down the tree with an extra damage. That's going to be 8 damage, strain, and jump, which will be good to get him in a more secure position there. And he can use the Mother reactive to heal 1 damage off himself as well. He'll flip at the end of his activation to his Sinister Cunning stance, and the Dathomirians, after flipping 1, will score 2 points and try to get a little more progress on the comeback here. The Republic will go next, and they flip Vader. Not too bad since he is across from Maul, so he'll start by spending 1 force to advance up to that ingress with Vader's Fury. Then a second advance after that should be more than enough to get him into melee with Maul. I think even a bit behind, so that he can be on the objective. So yeah, just short, which means this does get to be an advance rather than a dash. Vader's happy with that. It will make shoving Maul pretty easy. And actually, that is a mistake. Maul went up too aggressively and is in range for coordinated fire expose. Now, I don't want to actually wound Maul here because there will be a lot of retribution. So I'll flip to Gemso for that shove and pin. Vader rolls 4 crits, are going to get through. Exposed doesn't matter. He will stop after 3 to leave Maul off the objective with the shove, give him the pin, and on death's door, which will mess up his next activation and keep Mother from coming after Vader. So not a bad move at all. It's nice. They still got the Shatterpoint coming on Dathomir's side, and Maul will be harder to Shatterpoint now, given his current state, which is good news. And of course, Naboo scoring 4, really getting a stranglehold on this early game in Struggle 1. Dathomir goes and draws Mother here, which is actually a really good draw because she can potentially take multiple points. But it is at this point I realized I got a little too cute with Savage, tried to deploy him central so he could go either to the left or to the middle objective on a double dash. But due to the terrain in the way, a double dash is not actually quite enough to get to that left side objective. So he's in a tough spot. Mother will move him up to the ingress, and then he could go to the middle with his reactive, but I think I'll go to that left side to set up for a future turn. It's quite possible we Shatterpoint Mother here and want Savage to move up onto that left unsecured objective. So Mother here will go and attack Ahsoka. She should be able to claim the center objective on her own, rolling 7 dice into 5. But she has a rough attack roll, only 4 hits. Ahsoka blocks everything. So not only will Mother not get a shove, she also takes 2 damage back from Ahsoka on the deflect. Mother could manipulating hand Ahsoka off of the objective, but she can't get on there herself to claim it. So that is really unfortunate to not get the crit there. Dathomir scoring just the 1 point, and that will pretty much doom them for Struggle 1, unfortunately. So that leaves Padme going for the Republic. She just kind of has a free turn of setup here, looking to see if she could focus and go after Maul. The ranges don't quite work, so maybe it's foolish, but she will go after him all the same, using a move action to advance up, then taking a shot at him. She's going to get 3 crits through, which is pretty good. That will be 4 damage with an expose and a shove. And then she'll flip to Faith in Diplomacy to allow for potentially allowing supports to score objectives when wounded. And that puts Maul on the ground, which makes his plays a little bit tougher. Mother does get reactive move with her identity, so she's just going to go up the ladder to give herself more flexibility going into the next struggle. And then that all-important back right point, want to have a body on there to start the next one, so Padme will use her royal decree to spend a force and advance herself. If she had been dashed up by Ahsoka, maybe things would have been a bit better there, but not too bad. They still take the struggle, and we get to go into number 2. We're going to need a new exit, which is pretty good for the red team here. They've got their backline controlled. The Republic has their own backline controlled, so it's a pretty obvious choice to go with 2 close, 1 far from the Dathomirian squad. That is a good draw, as I say, because it's a pretty skewed one. Probably the strongest for the loser of Struggle 1, and should give them an easier time getting Struggle 2 completed and not spending too many resources going into the all-important Struggle 3. Now, it's not impossible for the Republic to win this one. They do have potentially some force to go up that left side, but it'll be a little bit tricky. The double is the far one. Gar probably doesn't want to activate because he needs to hold down that back right objective, so they'll go to the stack, and it's the Shatterpoint from the Dathomirians. My first thought is Maul to go after, wound those ARF before they even activate, but then he will be able to be shot at. Savage, yeah, he can't quite get there. So if I want that back point, that double, it's got to be Maul. It's a little bit tricky because then scoring 4, this second struggle could be over in 2 rounds if they want to punt. But I think you got to win this struggle, so might as well take the victory, which this almost certainly will be. Maul moves up, takes 3 damage to pull and expose this ARF. 6 big successes, down to 5. Maul will zoom down his tree. He's going to get a total of 8 damage. Shove, reposition, pin, double heal, and jump. And then the Mother Reactive as well will give him 1 more healing. So he'll use it for 2 damage and an expose, and he'll be almost as good as new. And he'll use all his movement to really kind of get tucked in on that speeder there to make him kind of a little hard to shove out of the way. And he'll also be engaging Padme in melee to make her a little bit slower in the future. The Dathomirians will take control of all 3 objectives, scoring 4 with the momentum that round, and this is shaping up to be a very quick second struggle. The double will stay in the same spot, and the Republic gets the ARF. That's fine. This is a bit tricky because they don't actually want to take back that spot, which would be nice going into the next struggle, but they don't. They kind of want to just get started on the 3rd struggle and use this as a prep turn, I think. So they do want to go after Savage because I think that would be good to kind of make him as dead of an activation as possible. They'll start with a move action, advancing outside range of Maul, and then another guy going up the ladder. Spending a force to disarm Savage, and just 1 gets through, which will be a pin only after protection. But a pin disarm on Savage will really hurt his activation. Then attacking Maul, they're also only going to get 1 through for a pin and a damage. But hey, a pin on Maul is not bad. Ahsoka is within 3 of that ARF after their combat action, so she will use her reactive to move back closer to the middle to potentially be able to attack that back objective if it comes up next round. Back into melee with the Super Commandos, so she just can't make up her mind there. But Republic scores nothing. They'll gain 1 momentum, and now the Dathomirians get to go with their own turn of preparation for next round. So they could go to the draw pile. Maybe they get Savage out of the way and can start next round with Clan Kryze and Gar, which would be awesome. But maybe they draw Clan Kryze and have to start next round with Gar and Savage, which is not great. I don't like those risks. So they will use Gar out of reserve to make sure Clan Kryze stays there for next round. That back left point is not going to come up next round, so he will reinforce the center objective. I don't think the Republic is going to let them have their own back right from the Team Red, so he will abandon it, also reinforcing that middle objective, and might as well just take a shot into Ahsoka. Once again, a huge defensive roll from Ahsoka, meaning only 1 crit gets through from Gar, plus a shove from Expertise. So 2 damage, he'll shove her off the balcony, and she does 2 damage back on the deflect for an even trade. But she will be further away from that objective now, still contesting the middle though, so it depends what comes up next. And it is blast our way out, so that middle point won't matter. We've got Padme already on that back right point for the Republic, and Vader on the middle left. Obviously that far left is exposed, no one's there. The Dathomirians have done a good job of reinforcing their back middle and getting Ahsoka farther away from it. Mother will be a force to contend with in that area as well, though currently I don't think there's space if she dashes down to take the ingress and be in contesting range on the correct level. So the choice is either empty spot, tied spot, 1-1, or going instead with claimed spot, enemy spot. I think the choice is clear then. The Republic will go with the option that gives them the Padme spot, the Vader spot, and leaves them fighting for Gar and Clan Kryze. Given that Savage is about to go and Mother is right there as well, I don't really want that high up objective to be active if I can help it. The double is going to be one of the ones that Republic already controls, which is good, and they're going to draw Handmaidens from the top of the deck. Now, this is where things get spicy. I think the smart but boring play is to just take one each and reinforce the points they already have. But there is a route to try and attack that other objective. So let's try to put on a show for you guys and go for it. They don't want to take too much damage from Super Commandos, so we'll do some tricks here. They'll start with a move action. The one at the bottom staying engaged with their Super Commando, but not Gar Saxon. And then the other one as well, same thing, going to stay up top so that they don't take any damage from No Mercy either. That will then allow them to spend 2 force and use their climb ability. And since a climb is not a dash or an advance, they will not take any damage from No Mercy. So the one on the bottom will move up, which will give them the focus and sharpshooter 1. And then the one at the top is going to move down. This will accomplish a couple things. This will allow her, she can use Vader to have a pretty decent melee attack, but also then the second one will hopefully get the kill and jump into that little pocket there so that Mother can't come and shove her away. That's the idea. The focus plus 3 Vader dice means 9 into 4 and way too many expertise and failures. Just getting 2 down the tree so they can at least heal. 4 damage isn't bad, but no expose for their friend, who then takes the shot and has a pretty good attack, but a pretty great defense from Clan Kryze. So nothing down the tree, not even getting to jump in there to tie the objective. That is really bad, but at least she is at range 3 of Ahsoka, so Ahsoka can come and follow up, but she only has range to Gar, not Clan Kryze, so she can't perform any sort of attack. So they'll lose that objective, but they'll take the other 2. That was a big gamble using all the force like that, and it failed. That could come back to bite the Handmaidens. Double for next round is on Vader, so that's a very takeable point. The Dathomirians will draw Savage, who is definitely not taking it, so they will spend a force of which they have lots to reserve him and get Clan Kryze. So they are unwounded. That's nice. They're just going to start with a jump, moving up outside melee of that Handmaiden, and then the other one moving outside melee of Ahsoka, so that he's free to advance. Because he's just outside melee as well with that other Handmaiden. Perfect positioning. Good job, buddy. Move action and then free focus so that they'll get 8 dice. And that will also put him at range 2 of the objective on the wrong level, but that will be fine. So let's start with an attack into Vader. 2 crits are going to get through, so that's not bad. I think 1 shove should be enough to get him off the point, so we'll mess him up and do a pin, then shove. That will make it a little harder for him to get back on. You know, if Ahsoka activates, she can't just dash him back onto that objective and take it from us. So, he's off. Next attack into the Handmaiden will be similarly successful. 2 crits getting through. I think we just want to get them far away from the objective, so we'll do a double shove and 3 damage. So that really solidifies this objective for the red team, as they've got 2 bodies to 0 there currently. And they flip the double, which means that they'll get to score 3, and they're in a pretty decent spot. As they, Savage could be a rough activation, but they have lots of force at least. The double's going to be back in the same spot on Vader, and the Republic gets Barriss. Now, usually this wouldn't be too bad, but because she doesn't have Force, you got to get tricksy. So we're looking, we could go and attack Maul, and then kind of see what happens as far as getting down the tree, or the alternative would be to just advance and hunker underneath the bridge there, which won't score a point for us, but it would allow potentially slip away around to the ingress point, or just give us a body there for if and when we kill Clan Kryze. But scoring only 1 point feels bad, so I think we've got Vader, we've got a chance with a lot of dice and good expertise to maybe get far enough down the tree for a reposition and a jump. So that's what we're going to go for. Barriss will move up. She's looking for 4 successes down her tree here. She'll go for it with 9 dice, but not a good roll. Only the 1 expertise. Lots of fails there, unfortunately. She's only getting 2 down her tree. So she'll reposition and shove and go to help out Padme. But man, you want to do a bit better there with her awesome expertise and 9 dice. But unfortunately, the handmaidens took all of those. So just the 1 point, feeling the hurt there of having no force left over. The double is going to be something the Dathomirians control. So they're getting at least 3 here, which is very nice. But Savage can't do much because he is pinned. He'll spend his force on his dash ability to remove the pin. He'll advance and then take the ingress point down. That should effectively body block Ahsoka from single dashing onto the objective. He's got the force, so may as well spend 2 for a 5 dice roll. 2 extra damage into the handmaidens. Not great, not bad. His second action is to heal 1 off of Clan Kryze, and the Dathomirians will score 3. The double once again is at Vader's objective. Now fresh deck, fresh force. Republic gets Padme. She is a little too out of position to get to the ingress there. I think that's fine. Reserve her. If and when Maul goes, she can activate again and retake that back right objective. And instead, ARF. So they can definitely do it. That's not bad. They're in a fine position. They could advance over onto there, after getting up the ladder, and maybe even get some bodies on the far objective. So that's what they'll do. They'll start with their defensive maneuver, I think, which will cost 2 force. But it gives them options for later in the turn. That will be enough to get range on Clan Kryze. So, defensive maneuver, moving up into the middle. And then the other guy is just going to come up the ingress point. Ladder guy will start by attacking the near Clan Kryze. Not a great roll, just 1 crit getting through, which is going to be a pin and a damage. Not terrible, but not the best. The other guy will attack the Clan Kryze near him. And similarly, he is only going to get 1 through after defense. So since they've already got a pin, it's just going to be 2 damage. Then after that combat action, Ahsoka will come on in. She won't be contesting just yet, but she'll do a melee attack into the Mandalorian. She only needs 2 to be able to move on to that objective. She gets a great attack roll, 6 results on 5 dice, but the defender goes 4 for 4. Only 2 down the tree. We'll do a heal, 3 damage, and a reposition. As Ahsoka gets the wound, she's going to tuck herself in there to be safe from the motherly shove so that she can't get knocked off the objective too easily. A double shove could still do it, but I don't think Talzin's going to get far enough out to have that angle. She's not getting off that platform, and the handmaidens are still there, which would tie her up in melee. So if she wants to get an attack off, best case is to go out that far side and pop one into Ahsoka. So she'll want to stay outside of melee, which also means outside of contesting. And then she'll toss dice. That's 4 results, but 3 blocks. So just the one crit getting through for a damage and a shove. Not ideal for Mommy Talzin. Ahsoka will spend 2 back on the deflect. And the ARF are going to advance and shore up that point. I did forget to do a follow-up on the shove from Mother, which could have gotten her probably into contesting range. So that was actually a really big mistake. I think that'll come back to bite the Dathomirians here, because an extra body on that objective would have been big. But Republic does flip and score 3. The double is on that Padme objective once again, which will be hard to attack for Team Red unless they get Maul. So that is a perfect draw there. He does have range 3 to both of the ladies. I think his best shot is to pull Padme off and then wound Barriss, just so that there's less bodies around for when Padme activates, because otherwise she could just easily move Barriss onto the objective, move herself, and take it back. So he will take 3 damage to pull Padme off. I think 2 force to shake the pin since he's getting hurt. She's out of melee, so he'll get to do an advance and then take a swing into Miss Offie. He's going to throw 11 dice into 5, and 5 are going to get through. Barriss does get enough expertise for a reposition. Maul is going to fly down his tree again, shove, reposition, pin, heal, and jump. Gets enough damage to pop Barriss for the wound. He'll just tuck up to the crates, healing off 2, and Mother reactive to heal another one. Barriss tries to reposition but removes the pin. Takes back that objective and scores the momentum on the wound. Republic is going to go with Padme, of course, to try to take back that objective, especially since it's doubled. If she just focuses and dashes, I don't think she's going to have a good enough angle to get shoves off on Maul, so she is going to have to use her move to get a full advance. That's fine, because she'll be making a melee attack. Instead of the focus, she can just use Vader for 3 extra dice. She has a decent melee expertise as well, so she's looking for a double shove here on Maul. 3 successes do get past defense, so that is going to be enough, exactly enough, as Padme gets 4 damage, shove, pin, shove, gets Maul off the objective, and he's not dashing back on when Mother activates, so that's a win as well. 3 big points for Republic, but they're not done yet, as Padme can spend a force on Royal Decree and cause both handmaidens to advance. Thanks to that heal from Ahsoka, they don't get wounded when No Mercy happens. They're just on the brink, and that's going to be 3 bodies to 2. They'll take that objective, and once again, that's where not shoving Mother forward was a big mistake, unfortunately. That is all 4 objectives secured for Republic, scoring 4, and it'll be tough for the Dathomirians to fight back. As, yeah, they've got to flip multiple objectives probably at some point. The double is going to be over on the ARF, and they draw Savage. He could potentially get in there to melee. He's got a dash, but climb won't get it. He might be able to get to that ingress point. It would be tight, but he might not even get melee from there. So I think it's just a little too dicey. If he goes for it and can't get into melee, then he's absolutely hooped. So they will reserve him and get Gar Saxon instead. He's in a similar spot to Maul, or similar spot to Savage, but he is a little closer. He should be able to get up that ladder, and obviously he's got a ranged gun, so not too bad. He'll start his turn by moving a wounded Clan Kryze out. That will be, someone he could potentially get a focus off of, but also just puts them out of melee so they can use their gun when they activate. So he will jump. Then he'll move up the ingress. He should be within range 2 of the Super Commando down below. 9 dice through. He will get 4 crits, which will be huge, plus a shove from expertise. He will get 5 damage, jump, shove, pin, shove, and most importantly, the wound. That is just enough for him to get the wound, given that the ARF took 2 damage from No Mercy earlier. That'll be big, getting the 2 points. The next double pointer is Padme, so that's good for Republic. They draw Handmaidens. Handmaidens are close to death right now and holding down an objective, so I think it's better to hold them for after they get wounded, bring them back, and flip something, because it would cost a lot of force for them to try to go and flip an objective. So 1 to put them in reserve, drawing instead Barriss. Thankfully, there is force available, so Barriss could force speed up to the ladder and then take a move action to advance and go after Gar Saxon, trying to flip back that last objective. So she will once again take 2 damage and throw 9 dice. This time, though, she gets all of the expertise, 6 expertise. She just gets 2 crits going through, so no free force push, but that is enough. She'll get the reposition over here just to have a better angle, and then shove Gar off of the platform. And that will flip it back for Republic. Double goes back on the Padme objective. That's going to be very tough for Dathomir to take. They can't really with Savage, so instead they will draw Clan Kryze. Can't really get too much better than that, I'd say. They can't get the double, but they can get the other 2 objectives. They're already in range on some defenders there, so they'll start with a focus attack. Into Barriss, they will get 4 successes through, and she will get enough for her reposition once again, so they'll opt for the pin, shove, disarm, shove. That way, she loses the pin on the reposition instead of climbing back up the ladder. So they can take that objective cleanly. And then the next will attack the weakened Handmaidens through, so that will be a double shove, 3 damage, and a wound. So good work from Clan Kryze there. The double shove is going to put this guy onto the objective as well. It'll be a 2-1. Though, for the other one, it might be worth it to try and jump up just for a firmer spot, so we'll pay the 2 force for that. Flip 2, score 2, but it's still right in the balance because it doesn't take a lot for the Republic to get it. And there we go. Double is going to be on that objective. Easy call. Go with the Handmaidens. And as one last hurrah before being removed from the game, they will just simply walk onto the objective. And that's 3-2. 3 points to the Republic and the victory. Well earned by them. That's it then. I hope you guys had fun watching this. I think it's kind of 2 fun lists. As far as game recap goes, obviously I think the Dathomirians had a tough struggle 1, and part of that was due to some luck, but then also the deployment on Savage was a blunder, not having him be able to go to that far left objective and secure it. I don't think I really regret moving him up top, though, that activation rather than the middle, because Mother should have been able to get 1 crit through and shove herself onto the objective. So I don't think that was a mistake, because at that point they've kind of got to go for big points. I do think not having Mother shove onto that back objective at the end was a big blunder as well. Maybe just a consequence of playing two-handed. I'm thinking from the Republic side, oh great, this is a useless shove. But from the Dathomirian side, it wasn't useless because it did give her a little extra movement. From the Nabooian team, I think the big mistake was that handmaiden activation at the start of Struggle 3. Not because of being aggressive, I don't really regret that, but in hindsight, attacking Clan Kryze was not the right move. I would have been able to just pop back up and take 2 objectives anyways on the next turn, which kind of mitigates why you're going for broke taking the 4 objectives. So what I needed to do was instead attack Gar, who also had a 7 health left entering that turn. And that way, if I can get the wound on him, then Clan Kryze kind of either takes one objective or the other, and not both. And it also gives me downside protection that if what happens, at least Ahsoka can come in, attack Gar, and potentially finish him off and or get a reposition onto the objective and at least tie it. So they have to expend some effort taking that objective. Speaking of Ahsoka, though, she does earn the MVP award for this game, despite forgetting her tactical ability, which would have helped. It may not feel like it, but she actually only activated once in that game as the very first activation. She had a really big presence on the rest of the game, but that was all just through her reactive ability. I do think she was rolling hot, so there is that, but I think it was a great showcase of why I love her. That reactive attack, it doesn't compete with coordinated fire the way Sabe's movement does. The attack is good when you get it, but even not crucial. And despite rolling hot, Ahsoka never actually was rolling 2 expertise on defense, which gives her even more movement flexibility. So I hope if you guys haven't been convinced yet by Ahsoka, this battle report kind of really opens your eyes as to what her power is. And for those who didn't get her during the pre-order, at least she's coming out soon to the masses with the Plo Koon pack, so that's very exciting. On the flip side, I don't think this was necessarily a great game for showcasing what Padme or Barriss can do. I could see swapping out Barriss for someone like Rex. That activation at the end of the first deck when she had no force and couldn't really make a big play, Rex would have been able to dash himself, make an advance, an attack with some shoves. He would have been much better there, but in other circumstances, I think Barriss can do a lot of work. I don't think there's a wrong answer on who you take in that spot, but there might have been a better option in this game. And Padme, she's still good. She still adds tricks to this list that just weren't needed in this particular game. I do really love the Vader Padme list that you saw here today. For the Dathomirian squad, I don't really regret not taking Night Sisters. I've never been a huge fan of them because Clan Kryze, they did so much work. Obviously, an expose from Mother could have been really nice on her attack. I will probably revisit this squad in the future with a variant that instead of Mandos kind of uses Bounty Hunters and Night Sisters, and we can kind of see how that goes. But if you are going to do the Mandalorian version, I do think I still want Bo-Katan. Gar was fun trying him out, but the extra heals from Bo and the extra durability, like you think about how many attacks it took to wound Clan Kryze, and if they just had protection and steadfast, more so the protection in each of those instances, then they stay alive a lot longer, and that's pretty important for the game. Anyways, enough of me yapping. Again, I hope you guys had fun, and I've got the teams figured out for the next battle report as well, and I think that's going to be a fun matchup too. I did make some changes for my approach as far as the recording and editing of this video versus video 1, working in some of your guys' feedback and some things on my own end to kind of speed the process up. So if there are things you liked more or things you liked less, let me know. And in the meantime, check out some puzzles, check out some rules videos, and see you later with another battle report down the line.